I'll be here.
Then recording room options. What's the options again? Enable all. Hello. Hello, 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 everybody. Let's see it. Let's see it. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Alex. Thank you so much for, just hanging out with me tonight. We're gonna wait a little bit longer until 7 and we'll start. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining early. I know you guys are eager to learn. So, like I said, we're gonna give everybody just a few more minutes to join. But in the meantime, if you guys want, I want you guys to find the chat box and just say, hey, what's up? Just so I know that you guys know kind of how to ask a question in that chat feature. All right. I just want to hear from you guys. Pierre, Augusta, Taka Barone, Courtney. I guess if you guys wanted to buy a house, where would that be? And you're gonna notice that in our class tonight, I'm really gonna focus a lot on making you kind of feel that you're in the driver's seat kind of during this home purchase road trip, all right? And that just starts with you telling me what you want. Awesome. Hey, what's up, Peter? I see you found the chat feature. Great. Looking forward to getting info. Thank you, Taka. I appreciate it. All right, people are joining in. We're gonna wait a little bit longer, just at 7. We have a lot to talk about, so we're gonna start right at 7. Oh, it's Dylan? Well, it says Pierre, so I'll try and make a mental note. I think you could change the names on the Zoom. I think I allow that. So unless you want to keep it Peter, it's gonna confuse me, but that's okay. All right, 3 minutes. All right, all right. Okay, great. People join in. Billy, I see you joined. What's up, Billy? Kelly, Nelson. What up? What up? All right, guys. So again, just do a quick introduction. Welcome, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm eager to share with you all the best practical, tactical, nitty-gritty bits of advice I can kind of give you about buying a home in Massachusetts in 2025. Again, like I said, whoever just joined, find that chat box and tell me where do you want to buy a house. And if you have any questions, go and ask them in the chat box. And if you want, to have something like a one-on-one and talk about it, if it's personal, we can make plans to do that offline. We're just gonna stack up all those questions throughout the webinar, and we're gonna knock those out when we have a Q&A at the end. So, stay tuned afterwards if you have any dying questions. I'm looking in Everett. That's great. I'm also actually living in Everett. Thank you, Nelson. All right, 2 more minutes, guys. Let's see, let's see. Jess, Jonathan, hello, hello. And Zoom user, awesome. We got a decent crowd. Let's go. I'm not sure if you heard my spiel, but we're gonna wait till 7. We have a lot to kind of go over, and I'm excited. So we're gonna start right at 7. All right, guys. T minus 1 minute. And great, great, great. iPhone. We can connect. Yes, I'll talk a little about the VA home loan. But it's a very specialized type of loan that my loan officer actually could probably talk to you about it. But I will touch upon some of the benefits that comes with it as well as some of the fees. So you're gonna learn a lot about that. All right. We're almost at 7. I'm again, for everyone who's just about to join. Awesome. Great to hear, Jonathan. North Shore, South Shore. Those are, I'm going to talk about that as well. Awesome, guys. Okay, okay. Soon. Again, for anyone who just joined right now, thanks for joining. My name is Alex. Thanks again. If you have any questions, post in the chat. We'll answer them. We have a lot of stuff. So, yeah, let's get started. It is 7 p.m. and we are a go. So a lot of people kind of have this you know, notion of buying a house, and a lot of people just don't want to screw this up. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go spend money or try something new, I always want to know one thing, and that's how do I not mess this up? So just a raise of hand, is anyone else like this? Who doesn't when they get into something, no one wants to mess up, right? Just who wants? And by the way, if you guys, it'll be very fun if you guys can just kind of interact with the chat, just so I have something to kind of work off. That'll be very appreciated. And but yeah, so like I said, I packed a lot of info in this webinar, so I'm gonna be talking very fast. I don't want to keep everyone hostage this evening, so I will try my best to get through everything in 1 hour. But just to keep it entertaining for your viewing pleasure, of course. You're gonna get your money's worth for sure, which is free. I hope. But if you were charged, then let me know so I can get my share as well. So I can only imagine that most of you had a long day of work today, and some of you might be juggling kids right now, potentially eating dinner, or some of you might be a little too comfortable, in your undies. But if that's the case, then definitely keep your cameras off. But if not, then I want this to feel interactive. I hate talking like I'm up here talking to myself. So I'm gonna be asking everyone to do me a solid and answer in the chat box when I do kind of ask a question, like I said. I just want to know about you guys, learn about you guys. All right. So let's try it right now. I see that some people just joined. Where do you want to buy a house? What does it look like to you? All right. Just want to go through some of the chat box and just see what everyone's feeling. I know that Jonathan, you said you're looking at North Shore, but open to South Shore. Sounds like North Shore is your preference. That's great. It's much cheaper than inside of kind of Greater Boston. Crystal, you don't know yet. That's completely fine. That's why I'm here. Taka, you're keeping options, hopefully in Massachusetts. So I'm not gonna let you move out. New Hampshire is great. North of Boston, close to New Hampshire, great, great. Uh, Jess, thank you, everyone. And by the way, I know everyone can't stay the whole time. And if you want to reach me to get your individual questions answered and create a step-by-step plan for, purchasing a home, I'm gonna post a link in the chat box right now, just so you guys can register in uh uh my calendar. Nice, Winchester, Massachusetts. Oh, yes, Cambridge, Somerville, Brookline area is very, very nice areas. I've been working a lot on those. All right, cool. So here's another question for everyone. How are you feeling about this whole home buying process like right now? I've been in real estate for a while now, and I could tell you that when people go from renter to homeowner, it's a real transitional period, and there's a lot of emotions. So I'm gonna be your real estate therapist for this hour, free of charge. Are you feeling concerned, stressed out, intimidated, anxious, or uncertain? Nice. Bill, Quincy area, great. So, if how you guys feeling? All the above. Exactly, Jonathan. It is very scary out there. It's one of the biggest investments you're gonna make in your whole life. So I definitely understand. Definitely, Taka, regarding this process. Okay. I have a grasp on personal finance, except for buying a home. I'm happy they're here right now. We're gonna learn a lot. And Crystal says, I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't worry, after this, you're gonna be an expert. All right. Uncertain, Jess. Okay. All the above. Great, great. Well, not great, but I'm sure that's why you're here. All right, so here's the thing. If you've been stressing about this whole home buying process, my goal tonight is basically to help you get the best night's sleep you had in a while, especially if you've been stressed. My hope is that by the end of this 60-minute webinar, I want you to go look at yourself or your partner in the mirror and say, we got this. We got this. So also don't forget everyone, if you can't stay on for the whole call, click on the link in the chat box to book, your one-on-one with me. I'll post it right now. And if you do book tonight, then we got about like 1,000 USD, not pesos, but good old American dollar worth of free stuff for you at the end of this webinar. Packed with goodies. So you guys in the chat can be my reminder at the end. I'm a very forgetful person. So let me know in the chat box if you like free stuff, because maybe I'm the only one, If so, then it's okay. I will gladly take that. Jess, yeah, you love free stuff. I love free stuff. All right, so here's the deal. This isn't about me. This is about you and making sure you get exactly what you want, but I will quickly share who I am. So, I'm not a total stranger who like, who's this guy? I know he's handsome, but come on. So I got into real estate because I saw firsthand how stressful and overwhelming the home buying process can be, especially for first-time home buyers. All right. So a close friend of mine went through an agent who just didn't get it. He was older, he came from a different culture, and was more focused on the commission than actually helping. It was awkward and very frustrating, and honestly kind of sucked the joy of what should have been a exciting milestone. And that's why I became a real estate agent, to be that bridge for people at the start of their home buying journey, and to the end. And I want this to be a fun, exciting experience where you actually enjoy going to showings, exploring new neighborhoods, while also feeling kind of completely confident every step of the process. So from day one, I specialized in first-time home buyers because I love being part of that transaction, that transition, watching someone go from feeling anxious and overwhelmed like we all feel today to standing in their first home, with keys in their hands, and that just never gets old for me. And I'd love to help you get there too. So my big why, it's right there in this photo. I'm a first generation, American. My family immigrated from Vietnam with nothing but the hope of achieving that American dream. So I know the struggle starting from nothing, working hard, and finally being able to call a place home. And that's why I do this. My mission is to help first time home buyers build financial independence. Home ownership changed my family's life, and I know it can change yours too. So I love home buyers and home buyers love me. You can just read my reviews online. Like I said, I'm not here just to pitch that. I love going above and beyond for my clients, my friends, and throughout the whole process, they become family because Ohana. And if you know, you know. But enough about me. Here's what I learned in 7 years of being in the business. That one big aha frustrating lesson is that 90% of buyers, they actually end up in the wrong house or in the wrong deal. All right. And that's not an overstatement. Most buyers leave a boatload of money on the table, or most of them just don't end up in a home that is a 10 out of 10 fit for them. There are a few reasons for that, which I'm going to explain to you tonight, and you're going to learn how not to make those same mistakes. And when the time comes for you to start your own journey, some of you guys might have a few things to work on. Maybe you just signed a lease right now. Maybe you're unsure if you want to stay in Massachusetts, or maybe you need to work on saving up for a down payment or even fixing your credit. And right now, you're only in the information gathering phase, and that's okay. But whichever step you're currently on this journey, do not worry. You're going to learn tonight how to make those results a lot better. All right. And that's a promise from me to you. Also, feel free to take notes. Feel free to take pictures or screenshots of the screen. Just let me know so I can, just smile and pose for you guys. So our job today is to help you kind of see around those like corners. And what does that kind of look like? So let's move on and actually start learning about those five actionable mistakes that buyers make all the time. And this frustrates me to no end. And I just want you to say this along with me out loud, and let's just listen to how crazy it sounds. So first time home buyers do not take advantage of first time home buyer programs. So how much sense does that make? And it's true, most first time home buyers don't take advantage of the things that are out for them because they simply don't know. Exactly. Billy said they didn't even know they existed, right? So raise your hands if you like the idea of leaving thousands or even tens of $1,000s on that table. I expect kind of hell knows in the chat box right now. I expect no one to raise their hands. And yet most first-time home buyers leave a mountain of cash on the table. And like I said, also don't forget everyone. I'm just gonna quickly go do this. If you can't stay on for the whole call and you like what you sound right now or how I sound, go to the link in the chat box to book that one-on-one. And if you do book tonight, we got about $1,000 worth of bonuses, like I said, that we'll talk about at the end. So let's keep going. So what does a first-time home buyer program look like? There are probably 5 to 10 that you're potentially eligible for. Some more than others. Obviously, it depends on a lot of stuff. And here's what they look like. So it could be very specific to the location of the home. So let's just imagine I'm on this side of the street over here, and I qualify for this program. But if I'm on this side over here, this house, I don't qualify. And essentially, it's about what city the house is in, because different cities have different programs. And get this, so there's a mortgage program called Boston One Plus. And if you are buying in the city of Boston, you can qualify for interest rates discounts and up to $50,000 in down payment assistance. Yeah, it's crazy. Free $50,000. All right. And then one could be depending on your income. So this is an income limit essentially. So if you're buying for yourself, it's around $114,000 as a cap. But if you're buying with a partner and someone else, it's around 130,000 for most counties. So, they want to kind of provide help for those who uh, can't really afford. And then some programs may require you to hang on to the home for a few years. And, these programs are sponsored by the city. They have a rule that says that you have to live in that house or condo for 5 years, or else you might have to pay back that grant. All right. Um, and then some may have interest rates that are more favorable than the market. And these are subsidized interest rates, which will drop your monthly payment, making it more affordable. Yeah, everyone likes cheaper mortgage, cheaper payments, and some are down payment grants. And we touched about this regarding the Boston One Plus mortgage program. The city will give you grants that you can kind of use as a down payment, and it's free. And the best part, it's crazy that you can stack these programs and grants together to get a really good deal. And we'll talk about that later on. And Kelly, you have a great question. So if you buy with a partner, do they both have to be first-time home buyers? Unfortunately, yes. And that there's a rule where let's say you sell it, you have to wait 3 years until your first-time home buyer status again. So mistake number two. So home buyers do the right things, but in the wrong order. So I trust you guys. Home buyers are very smart. You're capable, and you do the right things. However, a lot of times you're gonna do them out of order. And you're asking me, what does that mean? So let me give you a real life analogy. I actually got sucked into this TV show called The Great British Baking Show. And I guess tell me in the chat box if you ever heard of this show. So you ever watch the Great British Baking Show and think, yeah, Billy says it. Taka loves the show and think, wow, this looks so easy. Everyone's so nice and they're just casually whipping up these perfect pastries like it's no big deal. And by the time you're done watching, you're convinced, like you too, you could make a 3-layer cake and some fresh morning croissants. Oh, I'm sorry, croissants, no problem. So one day, I also got inspired. I took my overly confident self to Market Basket, of course, because that's the best grocery store other than Trader Joe's. Grabbed everything in Wegmans, and I needed to kind of bake a cake from scratch. And I just want to let everyone know that, before you roast me, um, this is my first time in my life I baked. I purchased flour, eggs, baking powder, and like 47 other ingredients. I kind of tossed it on my cart, went home, and thought, all right, let's do this. And then I started reading the recipe and it was way more complicated than I expected. It's all like combine these two ingredients, mix them for 3 minutes, add this slowly and then fold this into that. It was too much. And I was like, if you guys know me, I was like, nah. So I just dumped everything into a bowl, mixed it all together. And I mean, how different could it really be? But, here's what I ended up with. And what came out was still technically a cake, yes? Right? Tell me in the chat box, did I nail it? It doesn't look too bad. It's a giant brownie. Yes. Hey, someone seems like it's, uh, um, delicious. See Peng. Oh, there we go. She said yum. I think it's not a complete failure. But no, I know it's a disaster. And it's a lot like this. When you go buy a house, when you do the right things in the wrong order, what you end up is a house. It has four walls, a roof, but you don't nail it. But now you're 50,000, 100,000, even $200,000 into this thing, and you made this commitment to this house, and there's no prying you out. You're going, you signed a blood contract that you're gonna be paying this back over 30 years. All right. So here's what I want for you guys to do. I want you to kind of stick that landing that first time around. I want you to get tens, tens, and tens all across the board. I want you to nail it, and it feels like, you got that home run of a house. And I want you to kind of pull up to your house every evening after work and just have this overwhelming feeling of joy so much that you just want to give that house a big hug, and then your neighbor is gonna think you're crazy. But most buyers end up in the wrong house. So how does that happen? Oh, yeah, Nelson, that sounds like hopefully it's not too big of a special assessment. But so what does that look like to start off doing the right thing, but in the wrong order? Um, let's see. So go to the chat box and tell me if you're guilty of any of these things. All right. You stalked Zillow for 3 years. You disqualify yourself from homes and neighborhoods that were actually attainable. Or, you got curious, called a few for sale signs, walked into open house of three. You finally got tired and just bought something that's likely a bad deal, or just gave up, never bought, and you just keep renting. Yeah, Redfin's amazing. I also use Redfin. Serial Zillow stalker. I go to coffee shops and sometimes I see three people on Zillow. I feel the same way. Um, but yeah, right? It's crazy. There's a lot of things going on. I psych myself out when I see these home prices. 100% Kevin. But what happens if, those aren't the only houses out there? But we'll talk about that later. Talca says, I love spending hours on Zillow window shopping. Yeah, lots of, hopefully, they also have a lot of windows. All right, so you're probably telling me, Alex, you're probably asking, what is the recipe for buying the right house? All right. Um, so number one is know your budget. Know what you can afford by looking at your income, your savings, and monthly expenses. You don't want to fall in love with a house outside your price range, right? Number two, get a pre-approval. This is your golden ticket. It tells you exactly how much you can borrow and makes you a serious contender as a buyer. And number three, find the right agent. You want someone who understands your needs, kind of guides you through the process and makes that experience less stressful. Number four, make an offer. Or yes, let me actually see. Yeah, actually, no. Start house hunting. This is where the fun begins. You tour homes, you compare neighborhoods, and you find the ones that kind of checks all your boxes. Number five. Now this is where, you make an offer, and once you find the right place, you submit that offer, you negotiate terms, and this is where having an experienced agent makes a huge difference. Number six is home inspection and appraisal. So the inspection ensures there are no hidden issues, and the appraisal kind of confirms that the house is worth what you're paying for, and this is a requirement from the bank. Number seven is finalize your loan. You kind of work with your lender to kind of complete all those paperwork known as the underwriting process, and then you lock in your mortgage. Number eight is closing date, the finish line. You kind of sign the final paperwork, you pay the closing costs, and officially get the keys to your new home. And this is just a quick overview. And later throughout, I'm gonna kind of explain more of the in-depth things as well. So don't worry. If you have a lot of questions, I'll answer them. Okay, great. Kevin asked, should we, as first-time home buyers, be requested to have a home inspected before coming into a purchase? Will getting a inspection harm my chance of purchase in the current environment? Yes and no. Back then, you definitely had to potentially waive it. There was other strategies that we could have done as well, called a pre-home inspection. But yeah, we could definitely talk about that as later. But currently in this market, it's not mandatory to waive it. And I think it's always a good thing, especially if you're buying a single family house. Condos, you can kind of get away with it. All right. Again, so I know some people join. For those who are not going to be able to stay the whole time, like I said, it's going to be hopefully just 40 more minutes. I want to make sure that you know that you can book some time on my calendar. You can click the link in the chat box and I'll help you create strategies and we can just hang out on the phone for 20 minutes. It'll be nice. It'll be cute. When you're done with this, and like I said, I promise you, you're gonna do this after that 20-minute phone call. You're gonna, all right, you're gonna a sigh of relief because you're gonna have a plan and you're gonna feel relieved. All right, I'm gonna post it one more time. I heard from a couple of Massachusetts agents that we should get a lawyer. Is this something? Yes, 100%. Especially in the state of Massachusetts, before closing, you used to have title companies, but in the state of Massachusetts, attorneys act as your title agent. And I'm gonna go through that as well. So don't worry, Jeff. Great question. All right, we're speeding through. All right, mistake number three, thinking everything is unaffordable, like a lot of people said. And it's true. Prices right now, especially in Boston, Massachusetts, is expensive. But a lot of first-time home buyers assume that home ownership is out of reach. But have they really explored all the options? Many don't consider homes just kind of like a further little west, or like Jonathan said, North Shore, South Shore, where prices can be more affordable. The reality is, like, if you keep renting, you're gonna pay someone else's mortgage while the home prices keep on climbing. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to kind of buy. And I just want to be real for you guys for just a quick minute. And then I'll go back to being that goofy, funny guy that, you know or don't know because this is the first time you see me. But yes, there's nothing more fulfilling for me than seeing my friends finally realize what home ownership can do for them. So owning your own home and your own property, your own land, it's life changing. Just think about it for a second. There will always be more cars on the road, more iPhones released every year, and more trendy sneakers flying off the shelves, but land, no one's making more land. It's finite. So every year it gets harder to buy, more expensive to own, and more valuable to those who already have it. The tax benefits, the equity, the appreciation, paying down your mortgage instead of someone else's. But I know what you're thinking. Alex, everything is out of my price range. And I get it, but here's the truth. Rent is a liability. Every month, your money builds your landlord's wealth, not yours. But what if you could kind of pay your own mortgage instead? Even better, what if you could buy a place with extra bedrooms and rent them out to offset your costs and become the landlord? If you can't beat them, join them, right? So home ownership requires some sacrifices, yes, but smart ones. For example, maybe you just have to adjust some commute or consider a different neighborhood. But ask yourself this: could you buy near the commuter rail and make that time kind of productive on the way to work? Could you negotiate more work from home days or shift your hours to avoid peak traffic? Or could you hit the gym after work or run some errands until the traffic dies down? Because the truth is, you can make home ownership work. It's just about finding the right strategy and the right location. Even if it is in, a condo versus a single family, because I know a lot of people want that single family. They want a place that they have full ownership. But even if it's not just, your dream home, start building equity now. All right. And because, as the saying goes, the best time to buy a home was 30 years ago, the second best time today. And I took that quote. It's supposed to be a tree, by the way. It's not a house, but I kind of, it sounded nice. Um, but yeah, so as an example, this condo at 130 Belmont Street, Malden, was purchased 5 years ago for $410,000. Today it's worth 505. So that just means in like 5 years, it appreciated by 100K, which breaks down to about 20K per year just for owning it. And think about it this way, that's like getting $20,000 a year in bonuses just for living in your own place. You didn't have to work extra hours. You didn't have to start a side hustle or invest in stocks. But just by simply owning it instead of renting, you just built six figures of equity. Now, let's just compare that to renting. So, if you were renting a similar condo this whole time, you were paid 2K in a month in rent with $0 on that money return. So, 5 years times 12, that's 60 total months, and 60 times 2,000, which is how much rent is, that's about 120,000 in total rent that you gave out that you won't see again in those 5 years. So instead, as a homeowner, that 100K in equity is now yours. So if you decide to sell, you can walk away with a huge profit. And this isn't even factoring in the tax benefits, the fixed payments versus the rise in rents every year, and then all the other perks of home ownership. All right. And then Kevin said, do you anticipate home prices to continue to rise, or there'll be a moment when prices come down similar to markets in 2020? So I can't say for sure, just because if I'm not a psychic or a crystal ball. If I did, I would be super rich. But yes, it really depends on how the worlds go. But I always say that you can never time the market. If you can buy now, why not? And then down the line, when rates go down, or you can buy again, buy a second one, buy investment property. That's what I think. But yeah, mistake number four, they get intimidated by the numbers. So, all right, serious, not fun Alex is gone, and that chill guy Alex is back. All right. So, mistake number four, first time home buyers get intimidated by the numbers. Um, and this is a great time to kind of pull out your pen and paper and take notes, or take some screenshots. Average home buyers don't kind of dig deep enough into the numbers, but you're not average. I could tell you're here right now. On this Tuesday evening trying to learn. So you're not average. So tell me in the chat box if you heard some of these jargons kind of around purchasing a home, or words that you kind of just did not understand. And I'm gonna give you some examples, and you tell me if you heard of them before and just didn't know exactly what they meant. All right. Escrow, earnest money, mortgage insurance, closing costs, appraisal. So has anybody heard of those terms and said, hey, like, I don't know what that means? All right. So if you have, I guess, any confusion, okay, cool. I see a DM. I think yeah. You said that Glenn Roy, you heard of them and had very little knowledge. It's fine. You're gonna learn a lot about it today. What was the list of words that you listed out? Yeah, I think Kevin is being very funny. I'm laughing, don't worry. So I'm just saying that he didn't know what those words meant, but you will after this, all right? So if you have any confusion around those numbers, and then you're also in good company, because most home buyers don't understand what they mean. What if I'm bad at math? Hey, don't worry, Susie. We got something called iPhones, calculators, and lots of other stuff. So don't worry if you're bad with math, all right? As long as you kind of know what to do, we'll help you out. So, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna demystify some of those most confusing ones, and we're gonna start with the closing costs, all right? So tell me in the chat box who here has heard the term closing costs and thought, damn, that sounds expensive. What the heck is it? All right. Anyone? Closing costs? Jess says yes. Okay. Taka. C Pang, Jeff, right? Okay. Great. Yeah. Seems like you really, yeah. Nelson. Yeah. Like, what the heck is closing costs, huh? So, all right, let's just unravel the mystery of closing costs. And this is going to be very heavy right now. So, prepare yourself. So, in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to try to speed this up. By the end, not only will you know what they are, but I also have some good news about them. All right. Yay. Happy, happy. First off, what's the difference between down payment and closing costs? All right. It's very important. So down payment, this is your upfront what is it, contribution towards the home purchase price. So essentially what you're gonna bring to the table and how much you got. Closing costs. These are additional fees and expenses required to finalize the home purchase. All right. And closing costs generally fall into three buckets. Bucket number one, fees. And these include, but not limited to, lender fees, charges from the lender. These are like your loan officers, someone that you go to the bank and get these loans, are like application fees, underwriting fees, and discount points. All right. Origination fee, a fee for processing just the loan. Typically, they range from a 0.5% to a full percent of the total loan amount. All right. Title examination, $150 to $400 to verify that there's no ownership disputes or outstanding liens on the property. And liens are kind of like a red flag that someone can kind of say, hey, you can't sell this without my permission. Recording fees, around $300 paid to the county to officially record the deed and the mortgage. The mortgage is the loan, deed is the paperwork saying that you own it. Settlement agent fees. So in the state of Massachusetts, I believe, Jeff, you did ask about attorneys. Your closing attorney also acts as your title agent. So their role is to ensure that the property legally transfers to you and that the title is free from disputes. So essentially, you got a clean property, clean the house, and you know for sure that's yours. Um, but for example, imagine buying a house, right? So the land beneath it, right here, has been there forever, just passing through many hands throughout the years. Now, what if one of those past transactions wasn't handled properly? It wasn't handled by attorney. What happened was just kind of, between two friends, two family. You get a knock on the door, boom, 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 and you get an old guy just saying, "Hey, this was my granddaddy's land." I'm sorry, I'm very bad with accents. No one told me when he passed and I was supposed to get a cut of the sale, hand over the house, right? So that's where the title insurance comes in play. In Massachusetts, your closing attorney kind of ensures that the title is clear and sells you a title insurance policy to protect against situations like this. So it's a lot to kind of grasp, but yes. Um, and there's two title insurance. One is required. This is the lender's title insurance. It ranges from 2000 to around 2800, and this protects the lender. All right. Number two is recommended and but it's optional. It's the owner's title insurance. And it's gonna be a little more pricier. It's gonna be 4,000 to 5,000. But this protects you from any future title disputes or ownership claims, just like what I said before. All right. Okay, now bucket number two, one-time funding fees. I know, Tucker, you did ask about VAs, so this has to do something. This is where this comes in play. So government loan fees, if you're using loans like FHA or VA, there might be some upfront fees around 1.5 to 2.5% of the loan amount added to the loan balance. But the good news, you don't have to pay these out of pocket at closing. They're rolled into your loan. So it's not additional fees that you have to pay right at closing. Like I said, it's at the end of the loan, so you won't feel as much. All right. And then bucket number three, escrows, impounds, and prepaids. So prepaids, these kind of cover the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance. So the lender requires you to prepay, hence prepay, a portion at closing to ensure that these bills are covered when due because they're trying to protect their self-interest. If we don't pay those property taxes, who has the authority to take that away? The government, the county, the state. So they want to protect themselves. That's why they create these prepaids, these escrow accounts. Think of an escrow account as a piggy bank that your lender holds. And each month, part of your mortgage payments kind of goes into this account to cover those annual expenses like taxes, insurance. It's your money, but set aside to ensure that these bills are paid on time. And here's the good news. While closing costs are additional expenses that you won't see again, like poof, gone, the funds in your escrow account is still your money, just managed by the lender to ensure timely payments of those taxes and insurance. All right. And overall, expect closing costs to range between $8,000 and $15,000 on top of your own down payment. All right. I know that was a lot, but okay, finally, no more. And here's the bad news. You guys are looking around like, hey, Alex, you just told me this is gonna be expensive. And you're absolutely right. I'm not gonna, hide the. I don't. Should I swear? I should. Especially if you're gonna buy down that interest rate. Yeah, it's expensive. But here's the great news. Actually, you want the good news? Let's just have someone else pay them for you. So the great news about purchasing a home in 2025 is yes, the market feels a little weird right now. Interest rates are higher than what we got used to, and there's a lot of should I wait or should I buy? Just like Kevin said, right? But here's the thing. This is exactly the type and kind of market where smart sellers are rolling out the red carpet for buyers like you. They're saying, "Hey, I'll help you buy down your interest rates, or I'll cover some or all of your closing costs." All right. So I guess how many of you would love to buy a home where someone else is covering most or all of the upfront costs, right? Drop a yes in the chat box. Like, whew, Courtney, Taka, Billy, yeah, Sean. I see Crystal. She's not even saying yes. She is hands in the air praying. That's amazing. So imagine this. So you get into a home with minimal out-of-pocket expenses. Maybe we even stack the deal. Like I said before, remember, the government can help you with your down payment. There's You can stack that with grants to reduce your monthly mortgage costs, lower that interest rates, and then the seller covers your closing costs. That means you're walking into home ownership without having to shell out tens of thousands of dollars up front. But here's the catch. This moment won't last forever. And let's talk about that. Why? And that's because the market shifts. A couple of years ago, I'm not sure if you guys were following the market, but it was a madhouse, right? 5, 10, 20, sometimes offers on a single house. Buyers were waiving inspections. Kevin was asking, should you waive those? Everyone was doing it. They were waiving inspections, paying way over asking, and competing with cash offers from people whose parents wrote them like a blank check. Didn't matter how much. So if interest rates drop significantly again, that chaos is coming back. And when that happens, sellers won't be offering to pay your closing costs. They won't be buying down your rates. They won't be throwing in extra incentives because they won't have to. They'll have buyers just line up around the block, waving cash and writing love letters about how they just want to have this house that's so special to them. But right now, you can negotiate. You can get the seller to pay your closing costs, and you can get in without having to compete against 20 other offers. And here's the best part. Even if you buy now with a higher interest rates, you can always refinance when rates drop. You can get the best of both worlds. You can buy at a time when sellers are willing to help with those costs and then locking in a lower payment later when those rates improve. So if you're serious about buying a home, and you need this extra kind of push and this help, this is the time for you to kind of jump in because, like I said, I can't promise you anything when the market comes roaring back, either, the first quarter next year or whenever that might be. It's going to happen because the market acts in a cycle. A lot of people who kind of sat on the sidelines for a while will start to jump in because they see it's the best time to buy with the rates are low. And when they do, the streets will be red. All right. All right, so cool. So here's what we're gonna do now before we talk about the fifth and final mistakes people make. We're going to kind of explain the five key steps in buying a home, but like I said before, we're gonna kind of do it with the actual cost in mind and more details. It's just explaining everything, how much money, who will be asking you for what at each step, so you won't be surprised and kind of caught with your pants down. So would that be helpful for anyone? You want to get a drink of water? Awesome. Jeff says yes. Taka says yes. Irene says yes. All right, let's get it. So, step number one. So, I just want to kind of talk about this now. So, how much do you need from me to kind of start working with you to kind of buy a house? Like, how much does it cost for my service, essentially? And the answer is actually a trick question. The answer is 399. So one of the biggest misconceptions about buying a home is that you have to actually pay for your agent. Well, the good news is you don't. The seller typically covers the commission for both their agent and mine as well. So it's actually it comes to no cost when hiring me as your agent. All right, that's number one. And listen, guys, sometimes it takes a year or longer. And I worked with people for 2 years before buying because we just had to work on some things, and that's okay. When I get into a relationship to help you buy your first home or more homes down the line, it's a commitment from me. Whether it's needing to kind of move next week or months down the road or years, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna hang in there with you and guide you every step along the way. All right. So, all right. So here's how this kind of all goes down. And this after this, you're gonna be very knowledgeable. You're gonna be the best home buyers out there, the most informed. So first, we find the house. All right. You tell me, hey, this is the one. You go get it for me. All right. And that's when the real fun begins, negotiating. So now a lot of people think negotiations are just about the price. And yeah, that's kind of part of it. But what's more important? Closing costs. Remember, guys, closing cost concessions. That's the magic word. That's when the seller chips in to help you cover your closing costs. And just think about it. I really want to harp down on this because it's the only time we kind of can. If we negotiate $10,000 off the purchase price, cool. But if you think about it, you don't actually see that savings until you sell the house down the line. Meanwhile, the difference in your monthly payments as well, maybe $50, and that's not a huge deal. But if we get the seller to cover the thousands of dollars in closing costs, that's like real money in your pocket right now. Instead of bringing that to to the closing table and paying off those costs, we're gonna be smart about it, and we're gonna structure the deal in a way that keeps as much of your cash in your hands right now as possible, right? And then once we come to terms with the seller and kind of lock in that deal, that's when you put what's called an earnest money deposit. All right. So this is basically a small upfront deposit, usually around $1,000 to show that the seller that you're serious. Your money is held in escrow, either by the listing brokerage or the seller's attorney. And here's the thing, most agents just treat this as a standard step, but I have a little trick that can actually make your offer stand out way more. It's simple, almost no one does it, but it can actually seriously boost your chances of winning that house. So, and then here's the good news. Your earnest money deposit is protected. If the deal falls through for any reason covered by contingencies like inspection issues or financing problems, then you get that money back. All right. And let's talk about the second deposit. And you're like, what? I have to deposit twice? Yeah. So there's a second one called the purchase and sales deposit, and it's a bigger chunk. All right. Usually around 5% of the purchase price minus what you already deposited for the earnest money. So usually it's 5% minus 1,000. All right. So altogether, the earnest money, 1,000 usually, and purchase and sales deposit together 5% of the house price. All right. This gets paid when we sign the purchase and sales agreement. All right. Which usually happens after the home inspection. So, like the first deposit, this money is also held in an escrow account and counts towards your down payment at closing. All right. Hopefully, everything's making sense. All right. So, yes, it's a lot of money. But there, like I said, there's some programs that you can probably put down 0% if you're doing a VA loan, or 3% if you're doing a conventional FHA or conventional loan, or FHA is 3.5. Um, but yeah, great statement, Susie. I know it's a lot of money. So that's why we're trying to keep as much of that money in your pocket. So step number two, this is where we schedule the home inspection. And remember, this kind of happens right after you put down the earnest money deposit after you got your offer accepted, but before the purchase and sales deposit. All right. So it's right in the middle of both those deposits. And think of a home inspection like bringing a used car to a mechanic before you buy it. The inspector's job is to kind of pop that hood open and check every little thing and scare the hell out of you. All right. Um, they're just gonna find everything and they're gonna scare you. And trust me, they will find things. It's their jobs. Um, and they cannot train to nitpick and give you a report that makes it sound like the house is about to fall apart, even though it's totally fine. And that's because we're paying them for it. Like I said, it's the professionals, they're trained. And here's the reality. Every home in Massachusetts is old, like really old, other than new construction. So if you're gonna be buying something that's been standing for 100 plus years, of course it's gonna have some wear and tear, and that's normal. And that's why if you are buying a single family house, I would do a home inspection because you never know what's gonna happen. But don't panic when the report comes back with 50 plus pages of issues. Most of it is going to be small stuff things that you can either, you'll never notice, or things that you can kind of fix over time, or you can just live with. And the real reason though is that we do these inspections is to catch the big stuff, all right? Foundation issues, major structural problems, plumbing disasters, electrical nightmares, the things that could cost tens of thousands of dollars to fix. That's what we're doing this for. The small $2,000 patch up, that's fine. All right. But those are what we care about. And if something major pops up, we have options. All right, so what happens when the home inspection reports comes in, and now what? So we're gonna do one of four things. We're gonna, number one, we can terminate the contract, we can walk away and get your deposit back. Number two, we can kind of go back to the seller and renegotiate repairs. Or number three, my favorite, we can ask for credit at closing. All right. If it's some other major issues, or semi-major issues that it's not too of a big of an issue. Or number four, if everything looks good, we kind of live with the house as is, then we simply do nothing. We kind of let the home inspection contingency expire and kind of move forward with signing the purchase and sales agreement. All right. And that's why we have inspection contingencies in the first place, to kind of protect you. So, deep breaths. We got this. We got this. All right. So step number four. So after all that, we renegotiate the deal. Maybe we got some repairs done. Maybe we got the seller throw in some extra concessions based on what kind of came up during the report. Now we're moving forward. Now here's the part that's gonna drive you crazy. Um, Up until this point, it's been go, go, go. We've been seeing houses, making offers every weekend, filling out paperwork, sending in pay stubs, signing forms, and constant freaking action. But what now? Now everything slows down. And that's gonna feel weird because for the past week or two, you've been in control. You've been making decisions. We've been handling paperwork and moving things along. And then suddenly the lender and attorneys kind of take over, and it feels like nothing is happening. And trust me, it does get quiet. But there is things happening behind the scenes. All right. The lender is working through your file, the processing all the details and making sure everything checks out. The attorneys are reviewing contracts, clearing out any title issues, like I said, remember, and getting things ready for closing. And they're gonna be a few days where you hear absolutely nothing. Maybe sometimes a week, depends on how long our closing is. That's normal. All right. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. It's just a part of the process where you get to, just take a breath after all that hard work. And one thing that is happening during this quiet period is the appraisal. So think of our appraisal as a kind of reality check for the bank. You and I might think that that home is worth what we offer, and the seller definitely thinks it's worth that or more. But the bank, they don't take anyone's word for it. All right. The bank is lending you hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a big investment for them. So for heckin' sure that before they do that, they're gonna need to make sure that that house is actually worth that much. So what they're going to do is they're going to send a professional appraiser, basically a real estate detective, to look at at the home that we put an offer in and check out all the recent sales, all the comps in the area, and confirm its value. So in the state of Massachusetts, the buyer typically pays for the appraisal upfront, and it usually costs around $500 to $700. So you're asking, okay, great. So what happens though if the appraisal comes in low? For example, because I love examples. Let's say you agreed to buy a house for $500,000, but the appraiser says it's only worth 480,000. That's a gap, right? That $20,000 gap. The bank isn't gonna lend you money for more than what they think it's worth. So at this point, we got more options. We can renegotiate with the seller and try to bring down that price to 480. You can make up the difference out of pocket, which is not ideal, but sometimes it's necessary in competitive markets. And this is when you have a lot of money. This is your dream home, but things happen. Or we simply just walk away. And if the deal no longer makes sense, yeah, we just walk away. So this is, and it could be strategy, it could be negotiation, and this is just another reason why contingencies matter. But 99% of cases, the appraisal won't be an issue because FYI, I never had any issues with the appraisal coming in low, and I've been in those hot markets before, offering 100K over asking, and my broker would tell me it's crazy out there. So during this phase, the best thing you can do is just relax. If you need anything from, if we need anything from you, we'll reach out. Otherwise, let the lender and attorneys do their thing. All right. You're still on track, even if it feels like nothing's happening. All right. All right, cool. So I'm gonna have you guys do something interactive with me before, but Jeff asked, is there a deadline to get earnest money and the other deposit back if I back out after the home inspection? And yeah, so if we do find something, so usually the earnest money deposit is due a day, like usually the day the offer is accepted. If we can't do that, then usually we can just drop it off at the attorney slash listing brokerage firm the next day. But that money is protected, like I said, in case we find something at the home inspection. And then after the home inspection, then we do the purchase and sale. So that's completely fine. So yeah, something interactive. Let's just, put our hands in the air, wave them just like we don't care. Just kidding. And repeat after me, all right? I commit to not buying a Range Rover while I am under contract on my house, all right? This is a true story. And I commit to not going to Jordan's Furniture and getting $10,000 worth of new furniture ordered on credit for my new house, which is also a true story, all right? So why you ask? Well, it's gonna be potentially knocking you out of qualifying for that loan. The lender will look at your credit, report again before closing there, and they're gonna go, "What's this new debt there?" Billy, Jeff, Crystal, you know. I'm just thinking of something funny. Um, yeah, I know some guys might be putting some vacations or some, fun trips to Las Vegas 2025 on credit. You know, guilty, guilty. And it's gonna completely blow the deal out of the water. So do not buy anything more substantial than a pair of blue jeans without calling us. I'm joking, obviously, but you know what I mean. Just make sure that you save all that spending, all that big spending until after the keys are in your hand. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you. I love that, guys. All right. So number five, it's yours, baby. All right. So we made it. This is the final step, and at the end of it, that home is yours. And here's what's it's gonna look like. The night before closing, you're gonna get instructions to wire the rest of the money you owe, your down payment, the closing costs, into escrow. I know escrow is gonna be your best friend, your worst enemy, I swear. Um, this has to be done in advance before you get to closing, all right? And I always recommend triple checking the wiring details and calling the attorney directly, like, boop, 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 boop. Okay. You know what I mean? Like actually calling, just to avoid any issues. Wire fraud is real. So never send money without confirming it. I heard of some Reddit horror stories of hackers actually sending the wrong wire instructions, and it's not pretty. They can hack your email, they can hack the attorney's email, they could just it's very dangerous out there. So make that promise for me. Meanwhile, the lender is gonna wire their portion of the funds, the mortgage essentially, to another account. The seller is gonna sign all the required documents, and the stage is set. All right. We're gonna do a final walkthrough either the night before or the morning of closing. And this is our chance to make sure number one, the seller has fully moved out. Number two, any agreed upon repairs are completed. And number three, the house is in the same condition as when we made the offer. All right. We don't want to walk in and then there's a pipe that just bursted and now the water is soaking and destroying everything. That could happen. So that's why it's very important. All right. So we will schedule the final walkthrough once we receive the commitment letter from the bank, which confirms that they're officially giving the thumbs up on the mortgage and you're good to go. So this also where I'll bring the keys, the garage codes, the mailbox keys from the listing agents, and I'll bring it to the attorneys to hold on to. So the closing takes place at the attorney's office, our attorney's office, the buyers. All right. You're gonna be there for an hour and you're gonna sign a stack of documents about like an inch thick, you know? And I'm not gonna lie, your hand is gonna cramp up from all the signatures you're gonna be signed. And these documents include loan documents, title and ownership paperwork, and closing disclosures and settlement statements. All right. So once everything is signed, the attorney will send everything off to be officially recorded with the county. This usually takes an hour or two. And then you're going to get an email. Congratulations. It's all done. The home is officially yours. And then at that moment, the title has been transferred to you. The seller receives their money. The old mortgage is paid off. Their attorneys are paid. The agents get paid, and everyone is happy. But most importantly, remember that nobody can take this away from you. And that's it. Congratulations, you're officially a homeowner. All right. So I want everyone in the chat box to tell me, did that feel simpler or more complicated than what you thought it was going to be? I'm curious. I'm actually interested to know, did that feel easier than expected? Or, is it not big of a deal anymore? Or is it still kind of a little big murky mess for you? Awesome. Yeah. So Billy says it's simpler. Jess is easier. Shay, what's up, Shay? Simpler. Awesome. Jeff, you said made clear. No, thank you. This is awesome. And then Nelson says, understand the different steps made it simpler. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. All right. Okay, so great. What is mistake number five? It kind of felt like it was over, but we got one more. We got 4 minutes. So number five, they don't hire a gladiator. All right. So all the mistakes that allow other things to happen, and buyers either do this alone or they just don't hire a gladiator. All right. So you're thinking, what is a gladiator? So any dummy can open a door. Actually, you kind of be surprised in this industry. It's crazy. And contrary to what you see on HTTV or $1 million listings, my job isn't just to show you houses, and that's maybe like 2% of what I do. My real job is to kind of pick up the sword and fight for you. That means negotiating hard, sometimes getting a little bloody in the process to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. And that's okay. That's what you want. But just as important, my job is to shield you from those unseen dangers, those things that could turn your dream home into a money pit. So, for example, let's say if a house has a brand new roof, but I spot a 4-year-old boiler that's kind of on its last leg, I'm going to tell you if the four floors feel uneven or I can see cracks in the foundation, I'm going to be blunt. This can cost you a lot of money down the line. I'm going to tell you. If a listing agent looks perfect, or if a listing looks perfect on paper, but I know that the condo association has a special assessment coming up, I'm going to tell you. All right. Even the things you might not think about, but will later, like how's the commute during rush hour? Can you drive up your car up that hill during winter? Or is it going to be a nightmare? Is that beautiful tree a ticking time bomb for the roof or for your foundation? If I see that you're about to buy the wrong house, a bad deal, I'm gonna throw myself in front of a bus con, the bus and yell stop. Because at the end of the day, this is your money, this is your investment, and this is your future. All right. You deserve someone who isn't afraid to fight for it. So would that be helpful for you guys? Thank you, Kevin. Less complicated than what I'm going through. Okay. And can I just be a little bold right now and put my cards on the table and tell you what I really want? I want your kids, if you do plan on having kids, if you have kids right now, to go to a better school than you did. I want you to kind of put on more equity faster and retire earlier because I squeezed us into the best deal in the best neighborhood by the hairs of our chins, and I don't have that much hair, so it's gonna be hard. I want to make the impossible possible. And selfishly, I want you to be insane Raven fans, at Las Vegas and tell everybody, how good I am and to fire theirs. Like, how's that? All right. So what do gladiators do differently? So when someone says it's impossible, I don't buy it. I find a way, period. For example, if a home is listed above your budget, we strategize, creative financing, seller concessions, or negotiate off the price. I don't believe the MLS is the entire inventory. Just because it's not listed doesn't mean it's not available. I'll tap into private networks, off-market listings, and homeowners who are about to sell but haven't listed yet. And if you can't find the right home, I hit the streets. My marketing team and I, we're going to track down homeowners who might be ready to sell, cold calling, email marketing, text marketing before they even think of listing. I'm going to call in every favor I got, off market deals, insider connections, brokers, broker tours. We're going to use them to get you access to more homes. Negotiation isn't for the faint of heart. I go toe to toe with the most difficult sellers, and trust me, there are a lot of difficult sellers and agents to get you the best deal. We're going to beg, we're going to bribe legally, and we're going to hustle to make it happen. If an agent has multiple offers, I'm going to find a way to get you to the front of that list. So, caffeine field strategy is my specialty. I will analyze every listing in your search area and crunch the numbers and find the best deals within your budget. You're welcome, Susie. So, there's, of course, disclaimers. Every tactic I say and use going to work? No. But I'm gonna pull out every trick in the book I know until you walk into your new home, take a deep breath, and know that in your heart, this is where you're meant to be. And here's what I'm gonna look like when it's all over. All right. You know, and that's okay. So let me ask you guys a question now. So go back to the chat box and tell me after what you learned today, how you feeling now? Are you feeling less concerned? Maybe even like 10% less stressed out, 30% more in control, a tiny bit less intimidated, way less anxious, and way less uncertain. And remember, the goal tonight was to look at the person in that mirror or your partner and go, we got this. I got this. All right, Jess says is less uncertain. Great. So was this a good use of an hour? And well, an hour and 2 minutes on a Tuesday night. Yes, absolutely. Great. Kelly says yes. Jess says yes. Sean, fine speech. I've only had this before I bought my first home. No worries, Sean. Kevin says yes. Jeff says yes. Irene says yes. Awesome. C Pang says yes. Jonathan, Talker. Awesome. So do you feel more confident in your ability to avoid the big five mistakes? All right. Do you feel confident? Yes. Great. I'm loving this energy, guys. Thank you so much. So, do you know what you want to know? So, do you want to know exactly what you should do next? So, your job. So, I'm gonna tell you what your job is. I'm gonna give you a job right now. It's one thing. You have one job, and that is to tell me what you really want. Do not edit. Do not walk it back. Do not play small. Do not make it feel safe. Just say what you want, what you really, really want, Spice Girls. What's the thing? If I could create that result for you, it's going to make a situation where you're going to pull up to your house every night after work and you're going to stare at that house for a solid 5 minutes because it's so perfect for you. So think about what you want. And here's what I'm going to do. So, yes, you're going to go to the link in the chat box one more time, everyone. I know I'll keep posting it. And just gonna book a one-on-one with me. It's gonna be a free 20-minute phone call to get to know each other, your situation, whatever we can come up with, a step-by-step game plan. We're gonna get started on that home buyer journey. All right. I'm gonna stay on for another, maybe 30 minutes for a Q&A. If you have a dying question, you need to get it off your chest, or you won't be able to sleep at night. Um, so yeah, I'll be here. Also, the $1,000 in bonuses tonight. Who thought I almost forgot, huh? Because you would be right. Ah, I almost forgot. So whoever schedules that one-on-one call with me tonight will get a free, yes, I said free, a lot of free stuff. First home inspection paid by me. And like I said, that could cost anywhere between $500 to $1,000 depending on the size. So it's all free. All right. Well, number one, only one. All right. I'm gonna keep track. So like I said, I bet there's somebody right now. Kevin says he loves free, right? I love Kelly. Wow, all capitals. What a good deal. Yes, Susie. Um, and I bet someone's right now just sitting with their finger on that button and you don't want to be bothered. You don't want to bother me and you don't want to take up any of my time. But just know that you might feel like you want to fix your credit first. You might want to pay off some, loans or think I'll wait in 6 months when I'm ready. It does not matter how long it takes. I am here for you on this home ownership journey, all right? And again, it's a legit one-on-one consultation, and not only that, but you have my network, all right? My loan officer that I have done every single deal with, never fell through with any financial and credit questions. So if you guys have any other questions, I'll be here for a little longer, and I will unmute whoever has a question. I will try to unmute. Copy. But yes, chat box. Thank you. You're welcome, Joshin. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. But yeah, if no one has any questions, no worries. I will still be here for another 10 minutes drinking some water. If you don't want to unmute, that's fine. You can type it. Oh, you're welcome, Taka. Thank you. A good deal in Winchester. Yeah, we could take a look at it. Just schedule that one-on-one. There's always good deals out there. And that's what I love about real estate. There's so many houses for sale, that you're eventually gonna find a good deal. You just gotta really search for it. Of course, Kelly, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Courtney, thank you. Nelson, thank you guys for attending. You guys been amazing. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Crystal. All right. Seems like I'll wait maybe 8 more minutes or until, the participants go down. Honestly, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Have a good night, Susie. All right. Thank you for being so attentive and interactive. I love that. All right. Anyone else? 13, 12. Any other questions? I'll wait till 8:10 then. 8:10. If no one has any questions, we got 3 minutes. Peace out, Sean. Ciao. All right, 7. Is there a class that I need to take for first time home buyer? Okay, great question. So yes, some programs by the city requires you to actually take a first time home buyer class that can range from, I believe, $100 to $200. Every city is different. And they have in person as well as a webinar online classes that you need to take before you actually get those grants. But it doesn't take too long. I think they have them every single month as well. Great question, Augusta. All right. Any other questions? 2 minutes left until I head out. Once the title is clean from the attorney, Jeff says, is the title insurance something home buyers have to pay one time or more? Yeah, so it's just a one-time thing. The lender's title insurance is required, just because they want to be protected. And then your owner's title insurance is optional but recommended. But it's just a one-time thing. But if you buy another house, then yeah, you gotta buy another insurance. All right, one more man. Anyone else have any questions? We're down to 6 people. Boom, boom, boom. All right. 8:10. Any other last dying questions from anyone? Hopefully everything was fun, everything was interactive. You guys, that hour flew by for some of you guys. Instead of going on Netflix, you guys had me just talking. Hopefully that was fun. I had fun. All right. I think it seems like everyone's all set. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you coming along. Let me know. Book that one-on-one. You have my number. All right, guys. I think we are all set. We are all set. Everyone have a great night.